Good morning, good time zone, wherever you are. This is the Daily Space for today, Thursday, August 20th, 2020. I'm your host, Beth Johnson, and I am here to put planetary science in your brain. To understand our place in the universe, we have to understand the universe. That's a tall task, though, and one I'm not generally equipped to cover. I prefer to stay closer to home, and I particularly love planets. It's in the name, planetary pan. Today's news is all about planets, and this first story is literally and figuratively cool. A new paper in the Astrophysical Journal details the discovery of almost 100 cool worlds known as brown dwarfs, which were found with the help of a huge group of citizen scientists. And we love citizen scientists here. Brown dwarfs are sometimes referred to as failed stars because they are between the most massive planets and the smallest stars in mass. They don't have enough mass to sustain nuclear reactions. As a result, they are cold and dim, which also makes them very difficult to find. In fact, we only have success finding them in the relatively close vicinity of our sun. The Backyard Worlds project found nearly 1,500 new brown dwarfs, and these 100 included in the paper are the coolest of the bunch, with temperatures that can approach Earth. The data for the project was collected from a variety of programs run by the National Science Foundation's National Optical Infrared Astronomy Research Laboratory, or NOIRLab, and then made available to some 100,000 volunteers through the Backyard Worlds project. Those volunteers carefully scoured the images for moving pixels and identified changes in the images, and several observatories, including NASA's Spitzer Space Telescope, did follow-up observations to gather the temperature estimates. The discovery of these very cool planets helps bridge a gap in the low temperature range of brown dwarfs. According to lead author Aaron Meisner, these cool worlds offer the opportunity of new insights into the formation and atmospheres of planets beyond the solar system. This collection of cool brown dwarfs also allows us to accurately estimate the number of free-floating worlds roaming interstellar space near the sun. Co-author Jackie Faraday explained, "This paper is evidence that the solar neighborhood is still uncharted territory, and citizen scientists are excellent as astronomical cartographers. Mapping the coldest brown dwarfs down to the lowest masses gives us key insights into the low mass star formation process while providing a target list for detailed studies of the atmospheres of Jupiter analogs." My favorite part of this story is that it keeps referencing the nearness of these objects to our own sun, when in fact, the closest one is 23 light years away, and most are 30 to 60 light years away. Neighborhood, indeed. While these brown dwarfs may not be as close as the headlines imply, that doesn't mean that distant bodies cannot affect us here on Earth. A new paper in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences theorizes that cosmic rays from supernova may be responsible for at least one mass extinction event. The event in question occurred between the Devonian and Carboniferous periods around 359 million years ago. Rocks dated to this time contain numerous plant spores that show evidence of long-lasting ozone depletion. While more terrestrial events could lead to that type of ozone catastrophe, like volcanoes, the evidence for those is inconclusive at best. The researchers proposed that a supernova, or possibly more than one, from about 65 million light years away is the real culprit. According to the article, a supernova, on the other hand, delivers a 1-2 punch, the researcher said. The explosion immediately bathes Earth with damaging UV X-rays and gamma rays. Later, the blast of supernova debris slams into the solar system, subjecting the planet to long-lived irradiation from cosmic rays accelerated by the supernova. The damage to Earth and its ozone layer can last for up to 100,000 years. However, fossil evidence indicates a 300,000-year decline in biodiversity leading up to the Devonian Carboniferous mass extinction, suggesting the possibility of multiple catastrophes, maybe even multiple supernova explosions. To prove their theory, the team hopes to find a couple radioactive isotopes, plutonium-244 and samarium-146, in the rocks and fossils of the time period. Since these isotopes do not occur naturally on Earth, they have to come from space in a cosmic explosion. Lead author Brian Fields explains that these isotopes are like green bananas, And here's my favorite quote ever. When you see green bananas in Illinois, you know they are fresh and you know that they did not grow here. Like bananas, plutonium-244 and samarium-146 decay over time. So if we find these radioisotopes on Earth today, we know they are fresh and not from here. The green bananas of the isotope world, and thus the smoking guns of a nearby supernova. We here at CosmoQuest wish the team luck in their search for these isotopes. I'm honestly pretty excited to see where this story goes. Of course, when we talk about extinction events, everyone immediately thinks of dinosaurs and giant asteroids, which is why our next story has been a question on our show several times this week. Over the weekend, an asteroid formerly known as ZTF-0DXQ was discovered by the Zwicky Transient Facility. Several other telescopes were able to do quick follow-up observations and confirm the size and trajectory of the asteroid. Unfortunately, it was discovered after it had already zipped by Earth. Fortunately, it's only about the size of an SUV, so it wouldn't have caused any damage. It came within 3,000 kilometers of Earth, making it the closest known asteroid to miss Earth. Since the tiny visitor was confirmed by multiple observatories, it is now known as 2020 QG, which, let's be honest, isn't much better of a name. While we're on the topic of asteroids, we have one more tiny piece of news to share today. The Hayabusa 2 spacecraft, which visited asteroid Ryugu from June 2018 to November 2019, is on its way home with samples. Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency received permission from the Australian government to land the sample capsule in the Woomera prohibited area in South Australia. The landing is scheduled for December 6th. More samples, y'all, of an asteroid. Japan has done this before, and I am still impressed and excited. We'll update later this year, so stay tuned. Finally, on a more sober note, our thoughts are with everyone affected by the wildfires here in California. I am surrounded by smoke. Ash has been falling on the balcony and the roof and the cars, and the air has been toxic. I have friends that have been evacuated from their homes. Last night, I watched the death images of a fire camera in the Santa Cruz Mountains, and then Dr. Pamela and I spent part of the night sitting vigil watching the fire encroach upon Lick Observatory. We're happy to report that the observatory survived the night. There are unconfirmed reports that some residence buildings were destroyed. A couple small domes suffered some fire damage, and the majority of the complex will need a deep cleaning. Good news indeed. Thank you are losing homes and struggling, and our worry for collection of domes and buildings can seem crass by comparison. Feelings cannot be helped though. The observatory is a huge part of the history here in San Jose, and there is a ton of astronomy going on there to this day. Well, not this day, but up until the fire. Lick has been an important part of my career too, as short as this career has been so far. During my internship at SETI, I took up a tour with an undergraduate class, and my mentor, Dr. Peter Yenniskins, came with me. And after the tour was over, he took me over to our observatory box, which is a box of 24 nighttime security cameras that basically all point up at the sky in an arched dome, and they watch for meteors. We did some maintenance, we did some upgrades, we collected the hard drives, and then I got to take that all back and find meteors and discover meteor showers. It was a pretty awesome summer. I hope we can soon update with some good news about those cameras too. They were still collecting data as far as I know. 2020 has been rough, y'all. I know that. You know that. I want to hug my friends in person. I want to breathe freely without masks. I want to travel. Since none of that can happen right now, I'm glad to have all of you. Stay safe, everyone, please. That rounds out the news for today. This has been The Daily Space.